Hi again everyone, welcome to podcast number 4 for the Lion Foundation Young Enterprise Scheme. Today we're looking at the production process. We've seen a lot of YES teams over the years, and we know that the production process can be challenging. For many YES students, it's an area of business where they've had little or no previous experience. That's why we put support measures in place for you. As well as your teacher and mentor, this year you have the added support of Massey University. Education and research in technology and engineering have been at the core of Massey since it was founded in 1963. Their School of Engineering and Advanced Technology focuses on the development of new and improved products and processes. They are experts in product development, and they have set up a support network for YES students to use. All you need to do is visit seat.massey.ac.nz/yes and click on the questions and answers link. Fill out the form there and Massey will get back to you within 2 working days. There's also a lot of useful info in their Methods Resource Kit for Young Enterprise on this site. Today we're going to cover 3 aspects of production: creating a prototype, packaging, and dealing with suppliers. For those of you who are planning to sell a service rather than a product, this podcast will still be useful for you. You need to look at the process of delivering your service. What's the first step? How many steps are there? What suppliers do you need? All of that info will be critical to your business's success. So let's start with prototyping. For most YES companies, it's a good idea to create a prototype. It lets you figure out a lot of detail about your product. How long it is, how wide, what colour do you want it, what kinds of materials are you going to need. The best way to start is just with pen and paper. Draw or sketch your idea and make notes about things like materials and size. You don't need to be a graphic designer or artist to do this. The main thing is to get your product idea out of your head and onto paper. Again, it's a way to make sure that you and your team members are all on the same page. Once you're happy with your drawing, then it's time to create a prototype. There are 2 different kinds of prototypes that YES students tend to create. A visual prototype gives an indication of how your product will look, while a working prototype, as the name suggests, is actually a working model. Here's Massey's Chris Chitty talking about how you can make a visual prototype.
Well, when you're making a prototype, you can use anything you want. Again, make it as cheap as possible, as quick as possible for different sorts of prototypes. If you're looking to see how big it is, if it fits through the door of the car, those sorts of things. You make it out of an old cardboard box or a couple of cardboard boxes glued together, and then maybe you print out what you think it's going to look like and blow it up, and then you can stick these nice colour pictures on the outside of it, and you look at that and go, oh, that's where it's going, or that's where the buttons are going to be, because that's what you're trying to find out. It's going, or make it out of an old piece of polystyrene foam and go, yeah, it's that big, and can I reach from one side to the other, or will it be able to fit in my pocket, or will it fit into this handbag? What it is, you make a list of the things you're trying to find out about it, and you've got to be kind of they're not dumb questions. They're ones you're dumb to not ask them, put it this way. They're very obvious questions. Will it fit in my handbag? Will it do this? Will it do the task it's supposed to do? So you can prove each step of the way with a cheap prototype, then that's good. And say the more expensive ones, it's more resolved, and you don't have to throw them away afterwards.
Don't be afraid to make a visual prototype and then take it to engineers and potential suppliers. They'll be able to give you advice on how to improve your product or modify it to make production easier. For example, if you're making a product from stainless steel, then engineers will know what the standard size is for a sheet of stainless steel. It might be that by making your product just a few centimetres shorter, you can make 12 units from a single sheet of stainless rather than 10. That advice could make a big difference to your production cost. Now, some of you may have a product that cannot be easily prototyped, perhaps due to size or complexity. In that case, you can use CAD, Computer Aided Design, to design your product. Google SketchUp is an easy-to-use CAD program which is free. It's great for producing still images of your product idea. If you have some CAD knowledge and would like to use more advanced software, then there are 2 software programs that are industry standard for design engineers: SolidWorks and Autodesk Inventor. These programs are best if you need to animate your CAD work or if you're going to get a prototype built using a 3D printer. Schools can access a free copy of Autodesk Inventor, so if your school is keen, you can find more details on their website. Don't forget about your own school. Technology teachers and students from hard materials, food, fabric and graphics classes may have exactly the expertise and mastery of design that you're looking for. As well as creating your actual product, it's a really good idea to think about your packaging as well. Obviously, your packaging needs will vary depending on your product, but it's a critical step that many YES teams often forget or leave to the last minute. Tom Robertson is a guru when it comes to packaging. Tom's also part of the Massey team and he specialises in packaging. Here he is outlining the 4 main functions of packaging for you.
And there's 4 basic functions. There's containment. Does the package contain the product adequately so that it doesn't leak or doesn't spill? Then you've got protection. Does the package protect the product? And then you've got functionality or convenience. Does the package work? Is it easy to use? Can consumers use it? Can it be easily filled by the manufacturer? And then you have the communication function. This is all the information that needs to be on the pack.
It's important for you to keep these functions in mind when designing your packaging. An energy drink will have different packaging requirements to a gold necklace or a wool sweater. Fragile products will need lots of protection, whereas others won't. If you're interested in more info, you can check out Tom's full interview below, with him discussing a concept called the packaging grid. Finally, here's one last word from Tom on packaging.
And the other one that's worth considering at this stage is also what happens with the product when it's finished. What do you do with the package when it's finished? Can it be easily recycled? Because that's a real important consideration today here in New Zealand. Now, there's a website that you can go to. It's called packaging.org.nz, and on that are some guidelines on how to develop packaging. You might want to go and have a look at those as well.
The next thing we want to give you a few tips on is dealing with suppliers. Again, this process will vary greatly from YES company to YES company. Some of you will get supplies from local stores, while others may import components from overseas. Some of you will make your products yourself, while others will outsource all production to an external supplier. Whichever situation you're in, our advice is to keep communication lines open with your suppliers. Talk to them as soon as possible so you can establish a good relationship with them. Make sure you find out all the important stuff, like do they ship supplies and then send you a bill, or do you have to pay before you can get your supplies sent through? You may end up having to pay 50% deposit to get your supplies sent through. Now that's not such a big deal if you're only spending $100 on the supplies, but it is a potential issue if you're spending 10 grand. When dealing with suppliers, it's a good idea to confirm things in writing rather than over the phone. You may decide to do both. Call your supplier with an order for 500 widgets and then follow that up with an email. Don't worry, you're not hounding the suppliers. That's how many businesses prefer to operate. Don't be afraid to ask suppliers for their advice too, particularly if you're dealing with unusual suppliers. They're experts, so utilise that expertise. And don't forget that if you're paying someone to do a service for you, like build a website, then that person is a supplier too. That's all for today's podcast. Now don't forget, Massey Uni's School of Advanced Engineering and Technology is here to help you, so feel free to visit their website if you have any questions. Good luck with bringing your product or service ideas to life. We can't wait to see what you've come up with. We'll see you soon.